Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. We are talking about trust today, and it's definitely a hot topic around the world in so many different scenarios. And we're gonna actually go deep fast today, as always. But it's definitely a topic that keeps coming up. There's so many things happening in the world that are violating trust, right? And when we think about the system of education, we think about the world at large, we think about even some of the things that are happening in our own personal relationships, in our own families, our friend groups, our colleagues. When we kind of peel away a lot of the layers of things, it's usually rooted in a violation of trust. And sometimes it's about us having a core value of one of the components of trust that's being violated and we're feeling a visceral reaction. Sometimes it can be as simple as an unintentional stepping on your toes, so to speak. And we've got a lot to chat about. So I look forward to you all kind of chiming in the chat along the way. Let me know you're here. Let me know where you are listening from, so that we can tell that we have a global community here. And whether you are joining us live on Zoom, which I love, those of you that are able to come in and participate here. If at any point in time you want to join live, just go ahead and do a little reaction hand raise, and I'll bring you on video to chime in and participate in the conversation with us. I'm bringing Sheba right now, as always, my beautiful partner, who we get to do these mini masterclasses together. Sheba, I so value your voice and being able to contribute to these conversations. It's nice to not just be talking to a screen by myself. So I appreciate you being here. And Xander, welcome from France. And welcome, Rosie, and welcome to the rest of you that are here and are listening in, or if you're listening to this recording later, welcome. Feel free to, even if you're listening to the recording, chime into the comments. We do see them. And if you ever have a thought where you want to dive in a little bit deeper and you want a one-on-one conversation with myself and or Sheba, definitely just send us a message. We've got spots open for conversations to have one-on-one, because it's going to take all of us. We are creating the Conscious Educator movement, and this movement doesn't happen just from one of us. This happens from all of us who are educators around the world, locking arms and saying, we've got this together. Because the system of education has not been serving students or educators for generations. And in order for it to change, we get to be the ones to change it. If we wait for the powers that be, governmental entities, so on and so forth, to create a system that serves us, we're going to be waiting more generations. We can't wait anymore. Enough is enough. We get to be empowered and trust ourselves enough that we know what learning looks like. We know what it is to inspire and ignite the inner genius in children. We know what that takes. And we're the ones doing it on a daily basis, come hell or high water, throughout all of these crazy circumstances that are happening around the world. I went down a Twitter rabbit hole yesterday. Anyone else ever gone down a Twitter rabbit hole? It's a blessing and a curse all at the same time. Around the massive number of resignations that are happening in the world of education. And it's why today's topic is so important that we talk about trust, because trust is the measurement of value. And if we're not feeling valued, we don't trust where we're at. If we are not seen, heard, and valued for the unique, amazing humans that we are, we don't trust the environment we're in. We don't trust the people that are around us. It's a true visceral violation. And it can be as simple as ooh, that didn't feel good, to a full-blown, like, peace out, I got to get out. Like our nervous systems get that fired up that we just have to go somewhere else, which leads us to to do what isn't often done in education, is like leave before the school year is done. And so Shiva, I want to get your voice to kind of chime in on this as well. When you think about trust in general and what it's like to be in an environment where there isn't trust, and it's palpable, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think for me, an environment of trust is where it's a safe space, where if I need help or if I have anything, if I have needs that need to be met, I can state those needs. And even if, like for instance, in education, right, as classroom teachers, when we do need support, and if we talk to administration or central office, we want that open communication where we can say, this is what I need, this is what my team needs, this is what my kids need. And it's going to be met with compassion, or at the bare minimum, decency.
Right.
And if they're not able to assist, at least they're going to work with me as an educator to do what they can. Mm-hmm. Because I mean, just like we're feeling the pressure, the central office is feeling the pressure. We know that, and administrators are as well. However, if we have that relationship of trust where I can say, listen, this is what I need. And my administrator, supervisor, whoever says, look, I'm not going to be able to do that for you today. However, let's try this, let's do this. And so it's just, for me, that's what that is. And when there's no trust, it's like if I state, this is what I need, or this is what my kids need, and I'm met with ridicule, or I feel like there's going to be some type of punishment or something terrible that's going to happen to me for advocating for myself, that's distrust to me. At least that's what it looks like and feels like in this field.
Right. And it happens at all levels. I mean,
it does.
Building leaders, right, that are trying to advocate for their staff and are being met with that fear-based environment. And it stems from not trusting the people that you put in those roles. If you hire someone, hire well and let go, right? I heard that from Ava White, is just a dear educator friend of mine. Ava, if you're listening, I adore you. And she was like, that's how I created success in all of the schools that she ran. She was like, I hired well and let go. Like, just trust your people to do what you hired them to do. And if they need coaching, then coach them, but hear them. And so often that simple little piece, for whatever reason, isn't easy. And there's one of, I love to teach Brene Brown's Anatomy of Trust, kind of as a way of breaking down trust into micro moments. And generosity of assumption is one of the main components in the anatomy of trust. And so I like to generously assume those leaders that are unintentionally, this goes along with my generosity of assumption, right? Unintentionally diminishing those that they've hired to be in these roles, are doing it out of their own fear of repercussions from over here, whatever that might be, right? So oftentimes I'll go into a conversation of, and then what, right? And then what? And then what? Because if we can get to the root cause of the fear, we can usually get back into self-trust. And Xander, I see your comment. If you trust others around you, you can trust yourself to be yourself. So true, right? Because if we don't have that internal trust, then how do we trust others? And sometimes in those situations where you don't trust yourself to be able to do whatever, and we can come up with examples, maybe someone else is better at that. And so you can trust them to do it. And then you're like, oh, I can relax because they've got this and they've got me. And now we're in partnership. Now we're in teams. Now we can create this rhythm and this flow. But without trust, we get none of that. And sometimes it just takes an olive branch of a simple generosity of assumption that we're all doing the best we can with the wisdom and information and experiences and beliefs that we have today, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that it's good, right? And yet, to assume any other way is to assume that someone is intentionally being evil. And is that possible? Yes. And that's not the majority of us. The majority of us, especially as educators, are huge-hearted caregivers who want to make a difference in the world. Y'all didn't get into this profession going, I want to hurt children, right? That's not a thing. That's not a thing. And the tiny percent that show up in headlines that really need some additional support in order to be contributing members of society. I'm saying that in a very PC way to be generic. That's not who we're talking to. That's not who we're talking about. We're talking about the other 95%. So if we're going to work with the 95%, we get to have a generosity of assumption that we all want what's best for children as well as what's best for ourselves. So Sheba, when because I can keep going because like this is a fire in my soul when it comes to trust. But when you think about the ripple of impact when we simply put kids first, I'm sorry, I'm using air quotes a lot today. I'm gonna hold my hands. Sandy, stop using air quotes. Is like yes and, right? So when we think about let's put kids first, yes and, because you as an educator do what's good for kids, but you don't cut off your nose to spite your face in the process, right?
Yeah. No, you can't. Go ahead. No, that absolutely cannot happen, right? I mean, it's always the thing. If you're on the plane and the oxygen masks come down, they're very clear about the instructions. You fit the mask over yourself first and then assist others. So, I mean, when we're talking, and then, you were talking about Brené Brown. So I had to make sure that I looked through the anatomy of trust, and something that she said is that you have to hold, because it's that integrity, right? I took my notes here, Sandy. And that's courage over comfort. It's courage over comfort. So as educators, we have to have that bravery and that courage. Somebody said that a couple of weeks ago, to advocate for ourselves because we are the professionals in the room.
Yeah. And
like you said, because we know what's best for kids, when we take care of us, we're taking care of them as well.
Yeah. Self-advocacy. That is a huge, huge phrase. Sometimes I judge myself because I'm talking to an English teacher in Yeshiva.
Oh, no.
I'm like, wait.
No, it's all good.
All good. Yeah. You'll fix my words if they need to be. But self-advocacy, it's something that we ask students to do all the time. When do we get to do that? Do we trust ourselves enough to advocate for ourselves and say no more? And it's scary. That's that integrity piece, the courage over comfort, which is a huge component of trust, right? I trust you enough to hear me well. And if you're not the person that I trust yet to hear me well, maybe I can ask for what I need and say, I need you to hear me well. My words may not come out as well as I want them to, but can you hear me well? And maybe it's as simple as going for a walk with someone so that they're next to you versus face to face, because that can sometimes feel adversarial. So if you need to have a conscious conversation with someone, go for a walk with them, be next to them, be in it together, that the problem that you're solving is out in front over here versus in between you, right? Because this can be perceived as divisive energetically. And so if we can be next to one another, that in and of itself builds trust. Just by energetically going, we're in this together, solving this challenge. It's not about us as a human. It's truly about doing what's best for the environment that we're creating in order to create a culture of trust. And no matter what your title, stop using air quotes, Sandy, title is, everyone's going to start teasing me about that. What your title is in whatever role you're in the world of education, it's up to each of us to self-advocate. What's true in our soul for what's best for ourselves and our students, right? That is self-advocacy. Even when you are advocating on behalf of, you are a part of.
Sure.
So, but we get to trust ourselves enough. And boundaries is the first, when we talk about Brene Brown's Anatomy of Trust, look it up. It's a fantastic tool to be able to look at how trust is grown and diminished in micro moments. And she uses the acronym BRAVING. So boundaries is the B. And so when we think about boundaries, it's speaking up for what's okay and what's not okay. Not easy sometimes, right? Not easy, yet vital to our own self-trust and the trust amongst us. Because if I don't share with you what's okay and what's not okay for me, and you're doing those things unknowing that they're not okay with me, then all I'm doing is building resentment that you're a jerk. Well, if I never said, hey, I don't want you to bring me coffee every morning. It feels like, you're forcing caffeine. I'm making up something weird. You're forcing caffeine on me. And don't you know that, I can't have caffeine or whatever it is. Right. And then it's like, oh, you're not paying attention. Again, back to we all want to be seen, heard, and valued for the unique, amazing humans that we are. We are all unique. We all have different needs. We all have different desires. We all have different boundaries of what's okay and what's not okay. But we get to speak up for them. And then the next two components in the anatomy of trust are reliability and accountability. And they are close cousins. So sometimes I like to talk about them together. Shibu, we talked about this a few weeks ago, and I was sharing an example about my son. It all connects to real life as well. And you have boys as well, similar age. And so the conversation around I need to be able to count on you and rely on the fact that what you say you're going to do, right? That I can let it go from my brain, even if it's as simple as taking out the trash. It's trash day tomorrow. I'm paying the bills. Are you going to what's your, but if I never articulate that of what my expectations are, and I don't ask how you want me to hold you accountable, right? Then I'm not communicating in a way that allows both of us to be seen, heard, and valued. Because there may be something that I don't know on the other side if I've made up this expectation of, oh, we had a meeting, I spoke up for what everyone needed to do, but I never actually landed the plane and saying, and what does accountability look like so that we all can accomplish what we need to accomplish? That's not often a question that's asked in meetings, let alone in our familial situations, right? Shiba, have you had times when your sons don't do things that you expected them to do?
Oh.
And you're like, now I don't trust you.
No, often, right? But right. As an educator, I just have to think, and as a mom, they're growing and learning, and we're doing this together.
Yes.
Right. But can I say this, Sandy? But I will say, so like you were talking about reliability, and I was watching Brene Brown as she was presenting this to an audience, and she was saying that it's not just being reliable once, right? It's being reliable consistently. And so I think that as an educator, right, classroom teacher, school leader, whatever it is, even if the culture of trust hasn't yet been established, we have to live and work and interact with our children in a way that shows that we are reliable, right? Yes. So if and what's happened, then I've already established myself as a teacher who is always doing what is best for kids, as evidenced when my supervisor comes in and, has informal and formal classroom observations from what the parents are saying, right? From, just the discussions that my students are having. Do they feel comfortable coming to me for help, etc. Mm-hmm. So once we establish ourselves as just being reliable, just being the reliable professional in the room.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's going to help in the courage department.
Yes.
Right. So when we're talking about trusting ourselves, so yeah, if the culture isn't established, this is at least what an educator can do for themselves. When I coach teachers, it's like, it doesn't matter what teacher B is doing down the way. It doesn't matter what your teaching partner in the PLC is doing. You know what the right thing to do is, and do that and do it well and do it consistently.
Exactly.
Right. So if stuff hits the fan, it's like, yeah, they all did this, but not Anne. Anne was always on point, and we really appreciate her for that. So I think that that's just, so when you said reliability, I think that that's one way that we can at least, create those boundaries for self.
Yeah.
In the field.
Yeah. There's so much wisdom in all of that, Sheba. Thank you for that. And in just showing up.
Yeah.
Those of you that are still in the current system of education, and there's a lot of you that just hit your limit, right? And that's okay too, right? We all have it. We all have that boundary where it's like, okay, no longer okay. And that's what this movement is about us locking arms and building and growing trust within a like-minded community. Knowing that we are all evolving our own levels of consciousness, we're all working on our own internal self-trust and the trust amongst others. And, I've received messages over the years of people that are like, I just don't trust others. And it breaks my heart a little that the sequence of events that have happened in their life have gotten them to that place. And there's someone somewhere that will begin to help repair that along their journey. And that's my wish. For those of you that have gotten to a place where you're like, I can't trust the environment that I am. We're here, right? We're here as a trusted community where we show up, we speak up for what's okay and what's not okay. We have our boundaries, we're reliable, we're accountable. We're here every week at 9 a.m. Pacific time, having these conversations and really getting real with ourselves on how to create our environments intentionally. And we're gonna continue to evolve our topics as we go along. And we may need to have some more time. I know we only have a couple minutes left today to dive more into trust, but really quickly, I'll just go through the whole Braving acronym. You can Google it as well, but it's boundaries, reliability, accountability, the vault, integrity, non-judgment, and generosity. And Brené's got a ton of free collateral out there that you can dive into this. It's also a piece of the work that I do in our culture micro schools. It's a piece of what is in my Educator to Edupreneur Masterclass. It's a huge part of what I do when I'm doing culture transformation work in our schools, in really establishing that trust amongst teams, because it is so vital that we are able to trust one another. We are able to trust ourselves, and we're able to speak up when we can't, because that communication is what allows us to, again, be seen, heard, and valued, because that is the core human need that we all have. And if we can, like we've talked about before, slow time down and just focus on seeing and truly hearing, not just listening, but truly hearing those that we work with, truly hearing ourselves and understanding that we all have a unique value that we bring to the table. That's what this work is about, right? And so I am so grateful to all of you for being here. Time has gone by so quickly this week. Again, it's a topic I'm super passionate about. And so as we grow and evolve this Conscious Educator Playground, invite your BFF. We're going to grow this movement from all of us being in this together. You can watch the videos. They're free. We're going to continue doing these masterclasses for free every week. Join us along the way. We do have a 3-week micro school coming up that's going to be starting on April 18th. We are currently doing pre-sales where it's a buy one, get one free. So if you want to have a conversation with myself or one of my team members, reach out. We are doing free 15-minute one-on-one coaching sessions with anyone who, even if you just want to chat about something you're stuck on that we may be able to support you with, we are here. I will drop the links to those things on Facebook in our Conscious Educator Playground Facebook group so that you can have those links there, or feel free to just go to our website and you can find it there as well. Just go to educatordynamics.com. And we look forward to being on this journey with all of you. Thank you, Sheba, as always, for showing up and leaning in and playing all in with me. I will see you very soon, my friend. And the rest of you, love you all. Have a beautiful day. And I wish you many trusted relationships showing up in your world this week. See y'all soon. Bye, everyone.